Hey everyone, this is Heather and this is going to be a quick introduction to our profit tool, which is a swing trade idea tool based on price action and options flow. So before I go into the tool, I must say that there is a disclaimer. So all the trade ideas tool that you see on the internet, whether they are on Tradytics or whether they are somewhere else, please know that those are just trade idea tools. They are not explicit or direct alerts that you can just follow blindly. As a trader, if you follow anything blindly, in the long run, you're going to realize that you will lose a lot of money, no matter how good the platform is. That's just because of how hard the financial markets are. And if you are again following anything blindly, then in the long run you are going to lose money. That's almost for sure. So whenever you see a trade idea posted anywhere on the platform, that's a trade idea and you have to look at the price action and the chart to make sure that that trade idea works. Now you might ask, why would we give a trade idea if we want you to look at the price action and if we want you to do some of your own DD. Now that's because we are in a middle ground. So these trade ideas have historically worked really well. But what happens is that the accuracy of these tools is about 60 to 70%. It's much better than just a random chance, but it's not 100%. So when you look at a trade idea and you blindly follow it, then 30% of the time you are going to lose money. So you have to accept that fact. But you can reduce that 30% time by just going over the price action once, looking at the chart to make sure that the trade idea that these tools are giving us is actually makes sense. Now again, you might ask, why is the tool just 60 to 70% accurate? That's because financial markets are notoriously hard to predict. So we have done our best in the last 1 or 2 years to create these tools, and we went from 55% to about 70% accuracy by making continuous improvements. But these tools still make a large number of errors, and you have to be mindful of that. So just a disclaimer before we go into the tool. The tool is really good. We use this tool every single day to get trade ideas and then just do some additional DD on top to find out really excellent plays. But please remember that you need to spend some time doing your own DD before you go into a play. The tool is there to give you really great trade ideas. Now on the top we can see that we have some filters. So we have filters for price action based AI. So there are two types of AI. We have one that looks at technical analysis, that does technical analysis and looks at price action, and then we have the other that looks at options flow to see where the price might go in about 3 to 4 or in a week. So these swing predictions often pan out in about 3 to 4 days, or sometimes they take 5 to 10 days as well, but these are swing predictions. And you can see that based on both of these price action and options AI, we also have a confidence score. So you always want to go with trade ideas where the confidence is higher. And then in the rest of the table we have some other stats for you to help you analyze a play and then make a decision about it. So for instance, if you see a very large relative volume, then that means that volume has increased significantly for that stock, and that might be a signal that you might want to consider when you are making the play. Then from the option side, we have the call volume, we have the puts volume, we have the calls open interest. We have talked about open interest extensively in some of our previous videos, so please watch those. And then yep, that's it we have for this table. So let's quickly go through some of these examples and actually see how can we do some quick DD on our side to find out really good plays. So again, a disclaimer, I have not gone over these symbols before this video, so I'm just going to go over all of these top trade ideas with you to see what works and what might not work. So let's quickly go to OSTK. So I am going to go to our stocks dashboard. So we are just going to use price action right now. In some of our other videos, you are also going to see that there are tons of other things that you can use to build up this confluence. And if you are finding plenty of factors that are going into your favor, then that setup just becomes better and better. So right now we are just going to look at the price action. So OSTK, let's see what we have here. let's click on the SR lines. Okay, so we can see that let's see. Okay, so the price action and the options flow are both bearish, and you might be able to, if you are somewhat familiar with support and resistance lines, you might be able to figure out why. So if we go here, we can see that right now we are at a resistance level, which is what this white line is. So let me just zoom it out. And the reason the tool might be thinking that we might not go up from here is because we have a resistance level right on top. We have one resistance level here, and then we have another resistance level right here. So we have two resistance levels right above the price that might cause the price to go back down after we touch them. So that might be the reason that the tool is thinking that this is the bearish play. But you can see that we have these two levels, but the price has not touched these levels. So you can't go in right away. We know the principle. We want to sell at a resistance level and we want to buy at a support level. So if you want to go bearish or if you want to go short, then you want to go short when you hit that resistance level. Let's say that's what the tool is assuming, and then the price starts to go down. That's your entry. So although you know that this seems like a bearish setup based on the trade idea that was given to you by Profit, you still need to wait a day or two before the price actually hits this white line or the resistance line and then goes back, and that's going to be your entry. So this is all you need to do. This is why you need to look at the price action, because almost every time you'll see these small nuggets or you'll see these small points that will tell you when to enter into that particular trade idea such that your risk to reward is really good. So in this case, we see that the price might actually go down from here after touching these resistance levels. Let's say the price goes up, it touches the resistance level, but it actually breaks it. Now that means that the tool was bearish and there was a setup on the chart, but now the setup has gotten invalid. So if you're going short, then you need to exit. So you cannot assume that since the tool was bearish, you can just go into this setup and wait 7 days for it to pan out. If there is a clear setup on the chart, you need to follow it. When the setup becomes invalid, you need to get out. However, as I said, since the tools are about 70% accurate, 70% of the time what the tools are saying is actually going to happen as well. So you have that cushion from our AI tools that they're going to be right more often than not. So now let's see if we can find. So let's see if we go to ATOS. This is a really interesting one because I've seen some of the flow from this. So let's see. We have these SR lines. This looks interesting. So let's see. So the first thing we can see is we went above the resistance line today. Let me zoom this out. And we actually went back. But if you look closely, you'll see that we closed above the resistance line, which means we have finally broken the resistance. And now you might understand why the tool has given a bullish prediction. There was a strong resistance here. We touched this resistance many times and we finally broke that resistance today, which is why the tool might now assume that we are going to go up from here. But that's not just it. If you have seen some of our previous videos, and especially if you've seen the video on options market summary, we might find some things here. So let me see. Okay, so we talked about high volume cheap leads and how high volume leaps. You can see that there was a call contract for ATOS that had a very high volume and it was far out of the money. You might find it here as well, right? So this is about 42% far out of the money from the current strike price, which is quite a large difference, and there is about a 9k volume on it. So this is sort of the bullish direction play from the option side, and then from the price action side we have seen that the play is right there. So those are two factors that you can see in this play that might convince you that this might be a good play to make for a bullish direction. And that's how you are doing your DD. You are just spending, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes every play. If the play makes sense and all the factors are aligning well, then you go into a play. And if any of those factors and if there are any red flags, then you don't go into the play. So let's see if we can see something else. GME, obviously I think GME, everyone knows GME. Let's see what's happening with GME. So again, the tools think this is a bullish setup. Let me see if we have something here. So one thing that we have here is that there is this beautiful trend line that we have been following. So let me zoom. You can see that we hit the trend line, we went up, then we hit it again, we went up, we hit it again, we went up. So that might be why the tool thinks that since there is a horizontal support line below, the price might sort of stay here or dip and then go up. And since again these are swing predictions, the tool has a leeway of 2 or 3 days. It can go wrong in a day or two, but as long as there is a setup, as long as we are staying above this trend line, the tool is thinking that we are going to go up from here. Now let's see. But again, you might ask, how did you come up with this trend line? This comes with a little bit of experience. Sometimes you'll just see these things from the II, so you can see that there is a resistance here, but there is a support right here. So right at this point where there is this trend line support, there is also horizontal support, and that might be what the tool is seeing and thinking that this should go up, but then you can see that there is a resistance as well. So in this play, since the tool is saying that the probability of going up is high, you might want to wait until we break this resistance before going in, because then the next resistance is far off. We have a level where the difference between the next resistance from the current resistance is about $70. So you have a really good play there where the reward is much higher than the risk. And that's what we are saying here. So we have bullish predictions from both of these tools, and there is a setup here. We just need to wait a little bit to go into that setup. Now again, if you just go into this setup without waiting and just blindly following it, then 70% of the time it will still pan out. So that's where the power of AI comes in. It's not blind, but we still want you to have the best possible reward and risk ratio, which is why we always recommend going over the chart for at least 2 or 3 minutes to see what's a good entry, what's a good exit. And right here we have a really good entry if we break this resistance level. So that's a tidbit. Let's do one more. So I'll just do PLTR, since again this is a fairly known company. Let's see. So we have PLTR, and yeah, I was familiar with the support line here. So we have a really support line here. You can see that we touched this support line once, twice, and thrice, and we still went up. If you're familiar with anchored VWAP, then you might know that this is a resistance, but since the distance between the current price and the resistance is significantly larger here, we might actually go up in the next 4 or 5 or 6 days and then start to bounce back. But since the tool is only a swing trading tool, if we are here and we go up till this point, then the prediction has actually panned out really well, because it's not telling you that there is going to be $100 move. It's just telling you that in the next, let's say 1 or 2 weeks, there is a greater chance that the price might move up. Now that we have gone over 4 setups, I would say that that's it for this tool. Sometimes I think you need to spend some time with these tools because they are slightly complex and you don't understand what they're doing. So please just go back and see what are some of the previous predictions. Let's see, we want to see predictions from Monday. Just look at those predictions, look at the charts, and see how things are going on. Now, one question that we get asked a lot is, why don't you give explanations on why these predictions are made? And there is a trade-off between trying to explain these predictions and trying to improve the accuracy of our tools. So if we want to increase the accuracy of these tools, we want to create really sophisticated tools in the back end. And the more sophisticated a tool gets, the harder it is to explain the predictions. So what we have chosen is, we have chosen complexity over simplicity, because that provides us an extra 5 to 10% edge in the accuracy. And then we recommend, or we suggest to our users, to spend just a little bit time on reading the price action themselves, so that they can take advantage of the tool, and then they can add their own research or DD on top as well, which gives the best reward and risk ratio. So we again We recommend everyone to go through these tools, go through some of the historical predictions, look at how they have panned out, and then try to extract some patterns and try to analyze things themselves. What we can guarantee is that more often than not these tools work. These tools have been there for over a year now, so if you can build a good strategy based on these tools, then you're going to be really profitable in the long run. So that should be it for this video. This was slightly longer than I expected, but I wanted to go over some of these setups to actually show you how we at Tradytics go over these charts to see where the entry and exits are and when we actually enter into these plays. So that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.